they tend to have more kids. So more Muslims, population-wise, is gonna happen. And like every religion wants to spread its ideas. You have Christians that want to spread their ideas. Same with Muslims.
Right.
We do have a Muslim group here on campus, and they tend to be too conservative.
Right.
They are anti-Assad.
So, what do you think the Muslim Brotherhood and the Ba'ath Party can do to fix relationships, or is that not in the works?
You think when people are picturing the civil war in Syria, do you think that the government is just fighting and killing innocent rebels? It's not like that. It's that the rebels are coming onto neighborhoods, taking over houses, killing innocent people. What is the government supposed to do? It has to fight back. And it's not like they're Assad forces or Assad gangs. They're the army. I have family and friends in the army. They're the country's army. What are they supposed to do? Just let the rebels come? For this to stop, the rebels, first it has to start from Saudi Arabia and Turkey, because this is where the weapons are coming from. So the government can't do anything to stop it unless the other side has to stop. One stops. If the government stops, the rebels are gonna keep fighting. They already yesterday, the government stated publicly that it's willing to sit down and have negotiations, but the rebels won't. They want to keep fighting. Put Sharia law, take down the government. That's it. They won't even negotiate.
So they're pretty much like the Taliban.
Oh yeah. No, the same exact thing happened in Afghanistan is happening in Syria.
Okay.
Afghanistan was a beautiful country, open, but Al Qaeda took over.
The reason why I mentioned the student groups here, because Michigan State University, they had the footbaths installed, and the taxpayers had funded that.
The footbath?
Footbaths I guess it's a cleansing thing that the Muslims do. It was installed in the bathrooms, and the taxpayers funded that. And there was a big to-do about that. And that's why some of them feel that the Muslims want to come here and take this country over and install Sharia law.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. I think there shouldn't be any taxpayer money, any public money going to any religion. Any, not just Muslim. I mean, here too, we have a Union Catholic. That shouldn't happen. There should be freedom of religion. You do whatever you want. Just don't take other people's money to do it. Is that too much? I mean, you look at the Muslims, but you also look at all religions. There shouldn't be any government money, any taxpayer money going to any religion.
Right, and also, if you can remember, about 2 or 3 years ago, they wanted to put a mosque by the old World Trade Center site, about a block or two away. Are you familiar with that? It didn't go through, because a couple of people stopped it. But so let's go to life in everyday Syria and life in everyday America. From what I gather from you, that a Syrian citizen doesn't need to wake up and feel in fear, because
No.
So this is just a connotation that Americans have of a dictatorship.
No,
They see dictatorship and they see bad. That's what they see.
Yeah, no. Over there, it's actually, life is way less stressful, way more free than here. Like I said, you do whatever you want over there. Just don't say anything bad about the government. life is there is very laid back. You know, you wake up 9 o'clock, you eat breakfast, you work there is not an hour, half-hour drive. Hour there is 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. This is in the city. And you work till about 2, 3, and then you come back home, you eat, you sleep, and you go back to work at 5 to like 9, 10, and you stay up to like 1. There's everything. There's people go out, they party, they drink, they very free, very laid back.
So then let's go to my next question. Because here in America, you feel you wake up and you feel you have stress on you.
Yeah, very stressful. You feel like you wake up,
you have to go.
You have to go and work, and 9 to 6. And
right, and now not only do you have to work, the government's taking a higher tax.
Yeah. I feel like
so you're working for the government.
Yeah, you're 40% slavery.
Right. So now let's go to my next question. Say you grow up in Syria, okay? Do Syrians consider college like important?
No. I mean, unless you want to become a doctor, or an engineer. Going to college there is a waste of time. There's not enough, like, let's say you're gonna go study economics. Mm-hmm. What job are you gonna have then? There's not much for you to do. If most people learn a trade when they're young. A lot of students, a lot of my friends drop out like 7th grade in high school, in middle school. They learn a trade, and by the time they're 18, they already saved enough money just to buy their own house, no mortgage. Enough to start their own business.
So you said that when you can go ahead and buy a house, but you don't have a mortgage there.
Yeah, people pay cash. They don't, So they do. Some of them pay. They borrow from the bank and pay. But a lot of people pay cash.
So then, which leads me to this question: you buy a house, then do you have to pay real estate taxes?
It's something very small. It's like $60 a year or something. It's nothing,
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, I'm from Parsippany, and that's in Morris County, and we bought our house in 2001. And when we first bought our house, it's about 1,700 square feet, and we were paying $1,500 in taxes in 2001. Now we're in 2012, and we pay $10,000 a year for taxes over there. Have our services increased? No. In fact, they cut out a lot of the teaching positions in the school system there. But other than that, nothing else has changed.
This is where it's going.
So, I mean, $10,000 a year. Now, in 10 years, assuming the taxes don't go up again, that's $100,000. That's like another small mortgage that you're taking.
Yeah.
So, now I feel bad for you if you're going to stay in this country, because you're going to have to deal with this too.
All right.
Okay. And you get your job, and then you go and find a house, and you might have a mortgage to pay. It might be $2,000 a month.
Yeah, no, taxes in New Jersey are ridiculous. Like, I don't know, it's like the highest property taxes or something. Well, yeah, we just bought a house in Pennsylvania. It's much cheaper there.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving out of the state. If it wasn't for New York, if it wasn't for New York this close.
Right, and two, what I want to say, the younger generation is, in America right now, it might take you a long time to buy a house because the banks aren't lending.
Mm.
10 years ago, the banks were lending money to just about everybody who walked.
Mm. Oh,
Whether they were responsible enough to pay the mortgage back.
mm.
That's what the banks did. But in the States now, what are some of the things we can do to stop these taxes from increasing, going up and up and up and up every year?
Stop spending. You know?
There you go, the government, you're
Yeah.
listening, you might learn something. Students are telling you to stop spending.
We don't have a tax problem, we have a spending problem. You know, there's so much you could take from the people who work. At one point, they can't pay enough, then you're gonna have to stop spending.
I'm going to say that again. Politicians, you're listening, your students want you to stop spending.
Oh, it's just me. To be honest, most of the school, they don't know anything.
And to a degree, would that mean they have to cut out some services?
Yeah, of course. We have way too many services. I mean, if you see this, the things we spend on in this school, you know, we have a gamers club. They get 30,000 a semester to play video games. You know?
30,000
Yeah.
a semester?
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. You have people here working in the library. You have like 5 people working in the library like 1 o'clock in the morning. They're doing nothing. They just say on Facebook. Why? Is this what, just to create jobs? Is this the jobs that the government wants? You know, what are they doing? It's getting way out of hand.
Well, you're right. I mean, I could point out some things in Parsippany, but
No,
you know, it goes out on in every town, you know. And they mention the school system, you know, and I do applaud the governor a few years ago trying to put a cap on the superintendent's salary. You
Mhm.
want to say, oh, you can't make above 175,000.
even that's way too much.
Yes, in certain systems, the superintendents challenged this
Of
from
course
the
they
governor.
do.
And some of those superintendents are making over 200,000,
Mm.
you know, and they're really raking the taxpayers.
Mm.
And I know in Parsippany, we had a big to-do about that, and in fact, the district also cut out teachers, and so they cut services to the youngsters there, teachers and busing, in order to keep their superintendent in place. So anyhow, let's go to my next question is how is the U.S. government and Syrian government alike?
How are they alike? I don't know.
How are they different? Let's do that one.
Different?
Yeah.
The government? I mean, we talked about this.
Besides,
so
one
much.
was called a dictatorship, and the other one considers itself a democracy, but it's
Yeah.
not really democracy from our interview with the
Yeah,
United
well,
States government.
Yeah, well, first of all, our founding fathers didn't want it to be a democracy. We're supposed to be a republic,
There you go.
you know? There's a big difference, but every president, every politician now, we're a democracy, we're gonna split democracy. Democracy is bad. It's 51% wants to tell the other 49 what to do. Of course, there's more. Of course, the majority are gonna want the few people who are successful and hardworking to pay more. You can't have it. You know, that's democracy. You know, we don't want that. This is founding fathers. They should have been more. You know, when they wrote the Constitution. I mean, they should have been more precise. But, anyways.
And I'd like to reiterate that point because, and tell our listeners, is that our government is a republic, not a democracy, and that we should have more courses in the K-12 system that deal with the Constitution and teach the Constitution. and not something else. Because a lot of the students aren't getting the constitutional basis.
Yeah, well, education, that's another problem. Education system here is horrible. You know?
Okay, you
They
guys
don't
are
teach-
hearing it.
They don't teach. I mean, kids graduate from high school not know anything, and the kids, the parents want to send them to college, you know, and borrow $100,000 a year loans. You know, you see a lot of students here. You know, they don't do anything. They don't study. They take on these worthless degrees, then graduate with nothing. You know, no job with, like, you know, an art degree. You know, psychology. What are you gonna do with that?
Right.
You know, they just go to college, to party, with their, you know, with loans.
Right.
You know, subsidized loans by the government, or tuition, or financial aid. You know, here, if you're poor, the government pays for everything. So you could just come
What
here,
would be the best way to fix our education system?
privatize it, not funded by the government.
School choice,
Yeah,
okay.
not have financial aid, not have the government in the business of student loans and guaranteeing student loans. It's the same problem that caused the housing bubble with subprime mortgages. You know, if they weren't guaranteed by the government, these banks wouldn't make these loans. They made these loans because they knew the government would insure them anyway. It's just, you know, it's just so much. We have way too many problems. Like, you don't even know where to start.
Right.
Mm.
Well, my viewers know that I'm starting with the higher education
Okay.
and working on curriculums that are more constitutionally based
Okay.
and promote free market and what you're saying. And we also work with groups in the K through 12 system who do promote school choice and privatization.
Mm.
But let's go to this next one. Are the American students awake to what their government is doing?
No. No. Only us, few libertarian groups, or, you know, or
And
conservative
of course
groups.
you, because you've lived under a different government system.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't think anything to do with it. I have some American friends, you know, pretty smart, but most
So-
students are.
So would you
They're
say they're lost or they're dumbed down by our education
yeah.
system?
You know, there's no parents to raise them. You know, parents work all day. That's one thing. The TV, you know, there's no.
Right, and the students come home and they put the TV on.
Yeah.
Right. So in going forth, what would you like to say to the American students?
Oh man, read more. Stop watching TV.
Stop watching CNN?
Yeah, well, all of them. I can't think of one. Even
Stop
Fox.
watching the news,
Even-
period.
Even stop. Watch news from other countries. That's good. That's a good advice. Don't watch American media. It's horrible. Yeah, just question. You know, don't just do whatever the establishment tells you. Question everything. You know.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank you for your interview today, and we'll definitely have you back. Would you like to make a closing statement?
No, thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yep.
What was it? You ready?
How was the noise? I think next time you should get a classroom so you don't have to worry about that noise.
But can you minimize that noise when you do the edit?
Not really,
Oh, you can't?
no. I mean, it's just like you speaking. You know, you're going to hear it. So I would get a closed-off room, like we did the Al French interviews. Get a closed-off room and do it in there, so there's no competition. I mean, some of this might have to be edited out if you can't hear it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what can be done.
Well, did you want to, or you might have to do it again.